Hydrogen is the fuel of the future, with the potential to make major contributions to the resolution of pressing social and environmental problems such as carbon emissions, energy security and local air pollution. The Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung, or KAS, Namibia, Angola, in association with Regional Program on Energy Security and Climate Change in Sub-Saharan Africa, is hosting a conference on regional socio-economic opportunities of hydrogen for Southern Africa. Now, the conference started today, the 13th of October, and it's set to end tomorrow, the 14th. Joining us in the studio is Country Director of Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung, Namibia, Angola. That's Natalie Rusman. A very good evening to you, Ms. Rusman, and thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Very good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, Ms. Rusman, if I may, there has been various discussions surrounding green hydrogen since Namibia made its interest in producing the alternative energy. Give us an overview, perhaps, of this conference and how it will strengthen the efforts that are being made.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me point out that this conference is jointly hosted with our regional program on climate change and energy security, Sub-Saharan Africa, located in Nairobi. And we are really proud and happy to bring many stakeholders together. But it's not just to give a perspective from Namibia, but from Sub-Saharan Africa, mainly also Southern Africa. And as Namibia is a forerunner regarding green hydrogen, our neighboring countries are really much looking what's happening in Namibia so far, about the investments, about the potential, and also to see how much effort the government is doing so far in pushing this green hydrogen progress forward, so that it can be for the value of not only Namibia, but also for hopefully the entire continent. And the view is the regional view on green hydrogen, as we have participants and stakeholders from Zimbabwe, from Mozambique, from South Africa, of course, and from Kenya. So it's interesting to see their perspective on that.
Absolutely. How will hydrogen production support socio-economic growth in the Southern African region?
Absolutely, that should be our main concern. That when this green hydrogen came into place or the production starts, it will be for the benefit of the people, especially also in the rural areas. We know how the situation looks like nowadays. We are confronted with a high number of unemployment, especially among the youth, also among the women. And the question is really, what are their advantage? What are their take in that? That's why we are looking very much on this conference on the socio-economic opportunities around green hydrogen, not to look at just as a technology, as a big investment on the company, on the continent, but also what are their take in it. So in order to make them participate, we must inform them. Not for all of them, green hydrogen is something familiar. It's something that needs to be explained, also to avoid misconceptions around that issue.
So what is the value chain of hydrogen in Southern Africa, and how can the African countries take charge of this?
Yes, well, the process shall be that a kind of industry will be maintained while green hydrogen industry is being implemented, not only thinking about green hydrogen per se, but also looking at the secondary and tertiary industry around it, about the maintenance, constructions, research, transportation. So go beyond than just green hydrogen, and also looking at security regarding energy. We all know the situation on the continent, that while we are talking about this green hydrogen, a lot of people are still suffering, not having access to electricity at all. So how can we talk about that high-level technology on the one side? On the other hand, we know that a lot of our inhabitants in the rural areas, but also surrounding here in Windhoek, do not have access to electricity at all. This is a right to have. It's something to exist. It's nothing a luxurious thing. And also to fill that gap and to make advantage of that and to point to that problem and to find solutions. And to have this value chain not outside the country but inside the country. But because for development jobs are needed, income are needed, so that the investment really stay in the country and the profit is also in the country. That's the challenge about it, actually.
Right. Now, green hydrogen will mostly be exported to other regions in the world. However, how can Namibia, that relies mostly on foreign export for energy, use this opportunity to reduce its energy needs from outside?
Yes, thank you for looking at this challenge or this problem. Indeed, Namibia is importing around 71% of its energy from or electricity from South Africa, which is really used. And we know that the situation looks like in South Africa at the moment, so there are a lot of shortage. Luckily, we are not so much confronted with that problem now, but it can change pretty soon. So I think the first thing to overcome is really to get a kind of stability in the power supply and to have this within this development also a contribution to that. There should no shortage at all. But I also learned during the conference and earlier conference before, it's also a problem of transmissions. There are countries that have an excess of electricity, of power, and then there are those who are in demand. And that's why it's important to think about it regionally, so that there is a kind of a mixture. Those who need electricity can get supply from countries in Sub-Saharan Africa that have a surplus of electricity. And this is about also the infrastructure that needs to be built up, the transmission and the grids that needs to be done. I've also learned that Namibia hasn't got the capacity in order to storage all this energy when it comes to. So there's a lot of challenges around it that needs to be tackled while we are moving forward with green hydrogen.
Right. Now, the hydrogen economy offers a synthetic green energy with significant impacts, and it's environmentally friendly compared to current fossil-based fuels. How imperative then is this to reach net zero?
Absolutely, that is really crucial. We need the acceptance of the population, of the civil society on the ground. Otherwise, we cannot run an investment in that scale. So acceptance on the ground is important. And as Namibia is contributing to a lot of international agreement around climate change and climate issues, the Paris Agreement, and is a kind of also a forerunner in that sense, and a role player. So it's important to also to contribute to decarbonization and to contribute to green economy and green hydrogen, and also to reduce the pollution. And this is very important also to take that into account, that we at the end are really preserving our nature.
Now, with any new journey, there are obviously always bound to be challenges. What are some of the perceived issues that we may face, and how can we be better prepared for them?
Yes, I think there is a lot to do while being on the way to this new industry. The one thing is the education system. We have to prepare our schools, also the workforce. It shall start from my point of view, and this has been also pointed out during the conference by the Deputy Minister for Mines and Energy, Ms. Shilunga, Honorable Shilunga. It's important also to change probably the school training and the curriculum, that these aspects also come into their daily learning program. And also the university must be better prepared, and the research centers, and also connect with other countries, because we need the skilled workers, we need the engineers, and also the workforce that are able to take up and to implement that industry. Of course, we rely on partners outside. Namibia is a small country regarding its population, and it might not be able to set this alone. We need partners. And there's also a partnership with Germany, for instance, who is very much engaged in this area, but together with international partners and Namibia itself, I think we will manage that.
Mm. Now, you obviously started today with your conference, and there's obviously a lot to discuss. But what is the overall outcome that you would like to achieve with this conference?
Well, the overall outcome is indeed to take everybody in, to take the civil society in, because they will play a role and have to play a role. But they can only play a role if they have a voice, if they can set also the agenda to the conference and get information and get involved into that. And this conference aims also to raise awareness about the problems that might come across and already try to tackle it, but so that it's not just an approach from up to down, but rather from down to up. And also to give awareness about, we all know that sometimes when it comes to new projects, the misperceptions is there, and also it becomes a kind of backyards attitude. As long as it's not happened in my backyards, it's fine. I also support it. Renewable energy is fine, but as soon as the first digging of a new factory or implementation of factory, or for instance a turbine, well, people get a bit reluctant or say no, not with me. So we also have to face this, to inform the public and to take them with, and the bigger the acceptance, the more investment come out, because I mean Namibia is not alone. There are other countries around, Chile or other countries in Africa that might be able, and we have a great advantage. That's our political stability, the safety of the country, the road infrastructure, the great people. This is really an asset, also in the views and in the eyes of the investors. But it doesn't help if there's not the acceptance on the ground.
Of course. Well, Mr. Grisman, thank you so much for speaking to us, and we wish you all the best in your deliberations.
Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to be with you here tonight. Thank you.
That, of course, is Ms. Rusman, the Country Director of Konrad-Adenauer-Stiftung, Namibia, Angola. Natalie Rusman, as I said, and their conference, which started today on the regional socio-economic opportunities of hydrogen for Southern Africa, ends tomorrow. Well, the Daily